AITA for divorcing my wife after she cheated and disinheriting my daughters. My wife, Melanie, and I have been together for almost 30 years. We started dating when she was 19 and I was 22. Back then we were broke. We lived in a crappy apartment that always smelled like the previous tenant's cats, no matter how much I cleaned. We made it work. We started with nothing and built everything on our own. We had 2 daughters, Olivia, 26, and Zoe, 24. Olivia was always the smart one, top of her class, graduated with honors. Now she has a big-shot job at some corporation and is engaged to a finance guy named Isin. The wedding is planned for October. Zoe, on the other hand, was always more laid-back, into art and stuff. Always thought she was a daddy's girl. Like any marriage, we had our rough patches. When the girls were little, money was tight. I worked construction, sometimes 2 jobs, while Melanie waitressed and went to school. We argued about dumb stuff, but we always worked it out. That's marriage, right? You stick it out, you fight. You don't just give up when things get tough. But lately, I don't know, something felt off. In the last few months, Melanie started acting differently. Nothing too obvious, just little things. Like, suddenly she got super protective of her phone. I grabbed it once just to check the time because mine was charging and she practically lunged at me to get it back. Said something about privacy and boundaries. Boundaries? We've been married for 30 years. Since when do we have phone boundaries? Then there are these girls' nights she started having with Olivia and Zoe. They used to get together maybe once a month, which I thought was great. Always made me happy they were close. But suddenly it became every other week, sometimes more. When I asked what they did or where they went, I always got vague answers. Just dinner, just catching up. Melanie used to come home and tell me all the gossip and stuff they talked about, but that changed too. About 6 months ago, I came home early from a business trip because a client meeting got canceled and I managed to catch an earlier flight. When I got there, Melanie was on the phone, but she hung up super quick when she saw me. Said it was Olivia, but when I asked what they were talking about, she got weird and changed the subject. There was one time I walked into the kitchen and caught Zoe mid-sentence, saying something quietly to Melanie. I didn't hear it all, just something like, "Do you think he knows? What are they whispering about?" "Oh, we were just talking about something for later, nothing to worry about." Zoe chimed in way too fast. "Yeah, it's just a surprise, you'll find out soon." I frowned. A surprise? For what? Something fun, I said. Melanie, brushing past me to get something from the fridge, said, "You'll see." I thought maybe they were planning something for my birthday, which was coming up, but then something else happened. One night, Melanie told me she was going to visit her sister in Columbus for the weekend. I didn't think much of it, didn't even give it a second thought. A few days later, I was talking to Olivia on the phone, just catching up, when she casually mentioned that her mom had gotten a really good tan. I frowned. A tan in Ohio in February? There was this tiny pause, barely perceptible, but something about it made me feel like I'd said the wrong thing. Then Olivia gave a little laugh. "Oh, yeah, we went to a tanning place together before she left. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. It didn't seem like a big deal, so I just let it go. But then I started noticing more changes in Melanie. She suddenly started dressing differently, buying new clothes, wearing more makeup. She joined a gym and started going 3 times a week. Good for her, I guess, but all of this came out of nowhere. Oh, and she also bought herself a silver bracelet a few months ago. Said it was a gift to herself for a professional achievement. It looked expensive. When I asked how much it cost, she got defensive and told me I'd never cared before about her treating herself, which wasn't true. I've always told her, buy what you want, if we can afford it. Despite all this, I kept telling myself maybe I was overreacting, that maybe it was just empty nest syndrome or something. Now that the girls weren't living with us anymore, it was just her and me. People change after 30 years, right? That's normal, isn't it? I didn't want to be that jealous, controlling husband who freaks out when his wife gets a haircut or spends more time with her daughters. That's never been me. I've always trusted Melanie completely. But there was something inside me, a nagging feeling I couldn't ignore, like I was missing something obvious. And then, one random Tuesday, it all came crashing down. I was at work, supervising a construction site, nothing out of the ordinary. At lunchtime, I checked my email, skimming through the usual junk without much interest, until one caught my eye. Subject: your wife is cheating on you. My first reaction was to think it was spam, some kind of scam, like those Nigerian prince emails. but for some reason I opened it anyway. The message was short. Melanie has been sleeping with her boss, Richard, for over a year. Everyone at the company knows except you. Thought you should know. And there was a video attached. I sat in my truck for about 20 minutes, just staring at the phone. Part of me didn't want to watch it, like maybe if I didn't, it wouldn't be real, but finally I hit play. The video appeared to be from a company Christmas party. In the background, I could see Melanie sitting very close to a man I recognized as her boss, Richard. They weren't doing anything too obvious, just talking in a very intimate way. Then the camera panned to a drunk woman who looked familiar. I'd seen her before when I picked Melanie up from work. "Oh my God, is that her husband?" the woman asked, swaying a little. "No, I'm just recording the party," the person behind the camera replied. "But tell me, what were you saying about Melanie and Richard?" The drunk woman let out a loud laugh and said, "Everyone knows they've been hooking up for like a year. They think they're being so discreet, but please, those business trips they take together, how they disappear at lunch. He even bought her that bracelet she always wears. The bracelet, the silver one, the one she said was for a professional achievement." My whole world felt like it was crumbling. The voice of the person recording came back on. "And how come no one's found out?" The drunk woman took a swig of her drink and laughed. "Oh, she's got it all covered," the woman said with a lazy grin. "She's got her whole routine down pat. Excuses, little white lies. People think she's working late, shopping, whatever, but nope, she's with him." The video cut off. I just sat there staring at the phone, feeling like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I didn't know who sent it, but I had a pretty strong suspicion. Vanessa worked with Melanie, and there had always been tension between them ever since Melanie got a promotion over her last year. This had to be her way of getting revenge. I tried to tell myself it was just office gossip, the ramblings of a bitter drunk, but the more I thought about it, the more all the pieces fit. The girls' nights, the vague answers, the strange phone calls, the bracelet. I couldn't go back to work. My hands were shaking too much. I told my foreman I had a family emergency and left, but not for home. I couldn't face that place. I ended up at my friend Dave's house. He took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I didn't say anything. I just pulled out my phone, played the video, and handed it to him. "Expletive, dude," Dave said when it was over. "What are you going to do?" I had no idea. All I could think about was confronting Melanie right away, but another part of me needed more proof. The video could just be office gossip, right? It wasn't enough. I stayed at Dave's that night. I told Melanie I had an emergency at a job site and wouldn't be back for 2 days. She didn't even question it, just said, "Okay, be safe." Like nothing was wrong, like she wasn't lying to my face. The ease with which she did it made my stomach churn. The next night, she texted me saying she was going to her usual dinner with the girls, just a midweek catch-up. "Heading out now. Don't wait up," she said, grabbing her coat. I told her to have fun, and as soon as she left, I slipped out of Dave's apartment. I drove across town and parked outside the restaurant where Olivia and Zoe usually met her. I sat there for 20 minutes, waiting to see her go in, but she never did. Through the window, I saw Olivia and Zoe at their usual table. No sign of Melanie. I gripped my phone and texted Olivia, "Hey, just wondering if Mom got a dinner yet." A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. "Yeah, she's here, why?" I stared at the message, my stomach twisting. The truth hit me like a brick in the chest. They were lying to me. They'd been lying to me this whole time, covering for her, making up stories, looking me in the eye, and telling me falsehoods, while she was with him. I clenched my jaw and opened the tracker app we'd installed on our phones years ago for safety. Her location wasn't at the restaurant. It was across town, at a fancy Italian place. I knew what I'd find, but seeing it with my own eyes still knocked the wind out of me. Through the window, there she was, sitting next to Richard, so close she was practically on his lap, smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. She leaned in closer, resting her head on his shoulder. They weren't even trying to hide it. I pulled out my phone and took pictures, lots of pictures. Then I opened our family group chat, the one with not just Melanie, Olivia, and Zoe, but also my parents, my siblings, Melanie's siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone. I attached the photos and typed a single message. "Hope you're enjoying your dinner with the girls, Melanie. Looks like your boss is enjoying it too." I hit send. Immediately, my phone blew up with notifications. I didn't respond to any of them. What was I supposed to say? I just found out my wife of 30 years is sleeping with her boss and my daughters have been covering it up. How's your night going? I spent the rest of the evening driving aimlessly, trying to find the words. When I finally got home, they were all there, sitting in the living room, their faces etched with worry. Dad, what's going on? Olivia asked as soon as I walked in. You've had us worried sick. I didn't say anything at first. I just pulled out my phone, opened the photos, and handed it to Melanie. Her face went white instantly. Who sent you this? I took them, tonight, after I received this. Then I played the video. The silence in the room was absolute. Zoe started crying. Olivia just looked down. Melanie shook her head over and over, like she thought she could make it all go away if she just tried hard enough. How long? I asked. Melanie didn't answer. It was Olivia who spoke first. Dad, you have to understand. How long? I yelled. Everyone flinched. 15 months, Melanie whispered, barely audible. And you too. I looked at my daughters. How long have you been covering for your mother? Lying to my face, making me look like a fool. So, Zoe stammered. Dad, I'm so sorry. Mom said it was just temporary, that she was going through something. Shut up, Melanie snapped. Just shut up, Zoe. Don't tell her to shut up, I said. I want to hear exactly how my family conspired behind my back. I just stood there, looking at my family who suddenly felt like a group of strangers. Olivia trying to take control of the situation, like always. Zoe crying inconsolably, and Melanie, her face ashen like she'd seen a ghost. It wasn't like that, Olivia said in her always calm and professional voice, the one she used when she wanted to sound reasonable. Mom was unhappy. You were always so busy with work, those long projects, always gone. Seriously? You're blaming me now? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm not blaming you, she said, but her tone said otherwise. I'm just saying there were reasons. You weren't there for her emotionally, always physically present but mentally absent. You never wanted to talk about real things. I stared at my eldest daughter, this stranger who was now defending her mother's infidelity. So that justifies her sleeping with her boss? Makes it okay that you lied to me for over a year? No, but there are no buts, I yelled again. There's no expletive excuse for this, none. Melanie finally spoke. I was going to end it. I was just waiting for the right time to. To what? To tell me the truth, or to leave me? Which one? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. You know what kills me the most about all of this? I said, looking at all three of them. It's not even the infidelity. I mean, yeah, that's messed up, don't get me wrong, but the worst part is the lying, the conspiring. The three of you sitting at the table with me, laughing, acting like everything's normal, while you had this massive secret. Do you have any idea how stupid that makes me feel? We didn't want to hurt you, Zoe whispered between sobs. Well, congratulations, I said coldly. You failed spectacularly at that. The hurt in her eyes made me feel a twinge of remorse, but I was too angry to care. So what now? Olivia asked, always practical, already thinking about the next steps while I was still trying to process the bomb that had just exploded in my life. Now, I said quietly, now I want all of you to get out of this house. Dad, please, Zoe pleaded. We can talk about this. I know I messed up, but... Out, I yelled. Seriously, everyone out. They left. Melanie and Olivia practically had to drag a sobbing Zoe out the door. When the door closed, I collapsed on the couch, feeling like my heart had been ripped out and stomped on. The house felt empty, too quiet. I walked around the living room, staring at all our family photos. I was furious. I grabbed the first picture I saw, us at Olivia's college graduation, and hurled it at the wall. The glass shattered. For 2 seconds it felt good, then I just felt worse. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the couch, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of it all. My phone buzzed nonstop with calls and texts from all three of them. I ignored them. What was I supposed to say? The next few days were a blur. I took time off work, told my boss it was a family emergency, which technically wasn't a lie. I barely moved from the couch, didn't eat, didn't shower, just sat there replaying every moment from the last year, looking for signs I'd missed. Dave came over, brought me food. I didn't touch it. He told me to come stay with him, that it wasn't good to be alone in the house with so many memories. But I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. My phone kept ringing. Melanie's texts went from apologetic, "I'm so sorry, please let me explain," to angry, "You're being childish. We need to talk like adults," to manipulative. I'm worried about you. Please just tell me you're okay. I ignored them all. Melanie was nothing to me anymore. After everything I gave to that marriage, after 30 years of sacrifice, hard work, and loyalty, she threw it all away for a cheap affair. Fine. Her choice. Let her enjoy her boss. I didn't care. But Olivia and Zoe, that was the real knife in the heart. My own daughters, the girls I raised, protected, worked for. They were a part of this. They knew. And worse, they helped her. They lied to me, covered for her, looked me in the eye, sat across from me at the table, and acted like nothing was wrong. That betrayal was something I couldn't shake. Olivia sent a single text. What you're doing is unfair to everyone. When you're ready to have a mature conversation, let me know. Always entitled, acting like I was the one who screwed everything up. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Zoe was different. She called constantly, left tearful voicemails. Dad, please talk to me. I know I messed up big time. I just wanted to keep the family together. Mom said if I told you, you'd leave and everything would fall apart. I am so incredibly sorry. Please don't hate me. Her messages were the hardest to ignore. She'd always been my little girl, the one who brought me dandelions and called them flowers, the one who fell asleep on my chest watching cartoons. But now all I could see was how she'd lied to my face, helping Melanie deceive me behind my back. After a week of this, Dave finally convinced me I had to pull myself together. He was right. I couldn't just sit there feeling like a victim. I had to do something. I called a lawyer Dave recommended. With the evidence you have, you're in a good position, he told me after seeing the video and the photos. But you have to be smart about this. Don't leave the house. That can be construed as abandonment. Don't empty the accounts either, Mr. Arias. But move half the money into a separate account she can't touch and document everything. I followed his advice. Stayed in the house, moved money, changed the locks, started documenting every interaction. One day Melanie showed up with Olivia, demanding that I let them in to get their things. I recorded everything with my phone, standing in the doorway, as they called me every name in the book. You can get your things when my lawyer says you can, I told them calmly. That just made them angrier. I'm getting married in 2 months. Olivia yelled. Are you really going to ruin it just because Mom made a mistake? A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, I replied. What your mother did was a choice, a series of choices, every day for 15 months. And what you did was just as bad. I was protecting my family. You were protecting your mother's affair. It's different. They finally left, but before she did, Olivia said, I still expect you to pay for the wedding. You promised. The audacity of this girl. I just closed the door in her face. It's been 2 weeks since I found out everything. I'm trying to keep it together, go through the motions, get up, go to work, come home, stare at the walls, try to sleep, repeat. Dave and some other friends keep checking in, inviting me out for beers, to watch games, but I mostly decline. I don't have the energy to be social. Zoe keeps trying to reach out, calls, texts, even showed up at my work once. I finally agreed to see her. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I was at least willing to listen. We met at a coffee shop. She had dark circles under her eyes, her hair unwashed, wearing the same hoodie she'd had since high school. I am so sorry, Dad, she said as soon as I sat down. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I truly am. I should have told you. Why didn't you? I asked. That was the question that kept me up at night. Mom said she was going through a midlife crisis, she mumbled. That she just needed to get it out of her system, and that if you found out you'd never forgive her. She said it would destroy our family. So you destroyed my trust instead. Zoe flinched like I'd slapped her. I know it was wrong, she whispered. But you were always working, Dad, always at the construction sites, always stressed about money. Mom was lonely. And I'm not saying that makes it right, she added quickly. What she did was wrong. But maybe if you'd been more present, if you'd talked to her more, if you'd noticed she was unhappy. There it was. Even in her apology, she was still blaming me, still making excuses. I busted my butt to give you and your sister everything, I said quietly. To put you through college, to make sure you had a good home, nice cars, vacations. If your mother was unhappy, she could have talked to me. She could have suggested therapy. She could have asked for a divorce. Instead, she cheated on me, and you helped her. I know, she whispered. I'm just trying to explain it, not justify it. I wasn't sure I believed her, but looking at her, I couldn't just turn around and walk away like I'd planned. She's still my daughter, but I don't know if I'll ever trust her again. I need time, I told her. I don't know if I can ever trust you the way I did before. I understand, she replied, wiping her tears. Thank you for coming to see me. As I watched her walk away, I felt torn between wanting to call her back and wanting to cut her out of my life forever. Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings were moving forward. Melanie was fighting for half of everything, including my retirement account that I started before we even met. She wanted the house, alimony, the whole 9 yards. Claimed she sacrificed her career for our family, even though she's worked full-time since Zoe started school. And to top it all off, Olivia kept sending me wedding invoices, deposits for the venue, payments for the florist, dress fittings. The nerve. I didn't respond to her, but with every new demand, my anger grew. One evening I got a message from Isan, Olivia's fiancé. He wanted to meet for coffee, said he wanted to understand what really happened. When we met, he confessed Olivia didn't know he was there. She'd be furious if she found out. She'd told him I was overreacting about a brief affair, that I'd kicked everyone out and was refusing to pay for the wedding out of spite. He'd believed her at first, but he'd noticed Olivia acting strangely, like she was hiding something, so he started asking questions. I told him everything. The video, the 15 months of deception, how both daughters had covered for Melanie. By the time I finished, Isan's face was pale. He had no idea it was this bad. At that point, I was still trying to decide what to do about Olivia and Zoe. Cutting them out of my life completely seemed drastic, but after everything they'd done, could I ever trust them again? Rebuilding our relationship felt impossible when I wasn't even sure they truly regretted what they'd done. The only thing I was sure of was that Melanie and I were over. There was no coming back from that level of betrayal, so I filed for divorce. Work became my sanctuary. I had to keep the money coming in, especially with the divorce poised to leave me broke. My crew noticed something was off, but they didn't ask questions. When I zoned out or needed a minute, they just gave me space, and I appreciated it. The divorce got ugly fast. Melanie's lawyer tried to spin the narrative, painting me as a negligent workaholic who drove her to the affair. My lawyer suggested settling to avoid dragging it out, but I refused. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about principle. Yesterday, Isan called me again. He'd had a huge fight with Olivia after our conversation. He started asking questions about the affair, and she blew up. Accused him of taking my side, of betraying her trust. The irony is astounding. I have serious doubts about the wedding, he told me. If she could lie about something this big, what else is she hiding? Smart guy, I replied. Cheaters protect cheaters. Someone who can justify lying to their own father for over a year can justify lying to anyone. Speaking of Olivia, last week she sent me this long email, full of psychobabble about my feelings and working through my anger so we can heal as a family. Like we were all going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya after what they did. On top of that, she had the audacity to include more wedding expense forms she needed me to sign. Zoe's been different since our conversation at the coffee shop. She's backed off a bit, texts me every few days, nothing pushy, just checking in. Hope you're okay. Thinking of you. Love you, Dad. I don't usually respond, but I don't block her either. I don't know why. Maybe part of me isn't ready to let her go completely. Dave's been a huge support through all of this. Last weekend, he convinced me to go fishing with him and some buddies. It was the first time in weeks I'd gone hours without thinking about the mess my life had become. And then my lawyer called with some interesting news. Apparently, Melanie was trying to sell off some of our shared assets before the divorce was finalized. She'd accidentally mentioned it to a mutual friend, along with the tidbit that she and her boss were planning a grand trip to Europe as soon as all this unpleasantness was over. Unbelievable. Hector got an emergency court order to freeze everything. Small victory. I still wasn't sure what to do about Olivia and Zoe. I loved them, but every time I started to soften, I remembered the lies, the fake girls' nights, how they covered for Melanie, warned her when I was asking questions. They didn't just know, they helped her for 15 months. They chose her affair over my right to the truth. Olivia's wedding was getting closer, and somehow she still expected me to walk her down the aisle. She even sent me a manipulative text saying my issues with Melanie shouldn't affect her special day, like that's what's important, not the family she helped destroy. I didn't reply. Anything I said would end with me telling her exactly where she could go. I thought about just leaving, selling the house, moving somewhere else, starting over. But that felt like I was letting them win, like I was the one who did something wrong. And just when I thought this couldn't get any worse, life decided to throw me another curveball. I was in a meeting with my lawyer, discussing the divorce, when he mentioned checking social media to see if there was anything that could help our case. I don't use that stuff, I said. Well, Melanie does, he replied, turning his computer towards me. And you might want to see this. It was Melanie's Facebook page. There was a post from a few days ago, a picture of her, Richard, and Olivia at some fancy restaurant. The caption read, "So blessed to be surrounded by love as we blend our families." Richard officially popped the question. Wedding planning for us after we help Olivia with hers. Engaged. Engaged. The divorce wasn't even final, and they weren't even bothering to hide it anymore. And Olivia was right there with them, celebrating the relationship that destroyed our family. In the comments, she'd written, "So happy for you both. Can't wait to celebrate 2 weddings." I felt so stupid. Here I was, still reeling from the first betrayal, and they were already planning the next one. What the hell? That was it. The final straw. In that moment, something inside me just snapped. All the hurt, the betrayal, the months of self-doubt, it all crystallized into a cold clarity. I want to change my will, I told the lawyer. I want Melanie to get nothing beyond what the law requires, and I want both Olivia and Zoe removed as beneficiaries. Hector looked at me, surprised. Are you sure? That's a big step. I'm sure, I said. They made their choices, now I'm making mine. When I got home that night, I got a call from Issen. He'd broken up with Olivia. He'd found texts between her and Melanie planning how to manipulate me into paying for the wedding. They had a whole strategy mapped out. How Olivia would make me feel guilty, how they'd use mutual friends to pressure me, everything. You were right about her, he said. I'm sorry, sir. I thought you should know. I thanked him, feeling genuinely bad for the guy. He dodged a bullet, but it still had to hurt. Later, I got a call from Zoe. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. Apparently, she'd had a huge fight with Melanie and Olivia after finding out about the engagement and the social media posts. They didn't even tell me, Dad, she sobbed. I found out on Facebook, like everyone else. And when I asked Mom how she could get engaged when you guys aren't even divorced yet, she told me to grow up and accept reality. Olivia, of course, took her side, said I was being childish and dramatic. Part of me felt a flicker of hope, like maybe Zoe was finally seeing the truth. But then she said, I just don't understand why you can't try to fix things, why everyone has to be so extreme. Mom made a mistake, but I cut her off. 15 months isn't a mistake, Zoe, and neither is lying to my face every day for months. Those were choices all of you made. I know, she said quickly. I know. I'm not defending what she did, or what I did. I just miss how things used to be. Things were never how they used to be, Zoe, I replied. It was all a lie, and I'm done. What do you mean, done? She asked, sounding scared. I mean, I'm moving on with my life without you. She started crying harder. Dad, please, I know I screwed up, I know I did. But I'm trying, I really am trying. It's too late, I said. I already changed my will. You and Olivia are out. Dead silence on the other end of the line. You what? You heard me, I said. I met with my lawyer today. Everything's going to my brother now. But Dad, that's not fair. You can't just. Yes, I can and I did. You made your choices. Now I've made mine. She hung up. I expected to feel guilty, but instead I felt lighter, like I'd finally dropped an anchor that had been dragging me down for months. The next day, all hell broke loose. Olivia bombarded me with messages, calling me spiteful, vindictive, cruel. Melanie had her lawyer contact Hector about my retaliatory actions. Even some mutual friends reached out, saying I was being too harsh, that I should consider reconciliation for the sake of the family. I let them all talk, and I slept. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. No dreams about how things used to be. No waking up with that knot in my stomach. Just peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. It was in that moment that I realized the family I thought I had never existed. It was just an illusion. And maybe that was okay. Maybe it was better to live in a painful truth than a comfortable lie. Update. It's been 5 months since everything fell apart. Thought I'd give you guys a little update. The divorce is final. Thanks to Hector's amazing work and all the evidence we gathered, Melanie didn't get anywhere near what she wanted. She got some money in her car, but not the house, not my retirement. She and Richard got married 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Very classy. I sold the house. Too many memories, good and bad. Bought a smaller place, closer to work, in a different neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it's mine, no ghosts, no lies. After I changed my will and Zoe found out, she showed up at my door the next day, crying, begging me to reconsider. Said she'd do anything to make things right. I told her I appreciated the gesture, but my decision was final. When she saw I wasn't going to change my mind, something in her shifted. She went from pleading to serious, then cold. So that's it, she asked. 30 years of family and you just throw it all away? I didn't throw anything away, I replied. You did, when you decided to lie to me for over a year. She left. Haven't heard from her since. Apparently, she moved in with Melanie and Richard. One big happy family. Olivia got married last month to some doctor she met right after Ison dumped her. I wasn't invited, didn't expect to be. Heard from mutual friends that Richard walked her down the aisle. It stung for a minute, and then I realized I didn't really care. The thing about cutting toxic people out of your life is that it hurts like hell at first, but then you start to notice how much lighter you feel, how much more energy you have, how much clearer everything feels. I've been seeing someone for a couple of months now. I'll call her Jess. We met at a friend's barbecue. She's divorced too, so she understands the emotional baggage that comes with it. We're taking it slow, but it's good, really good. She knows my whole story and doesn't judge me for cutting ties with my daughters. She gets it in a way most people can't. Her ex cheated on her with her own sister, so she knows a thing or two about family betrayal. I miss Olivia and Zoe sometimes. Usually when I see a father having dinner with his grown daughters, or when I hear a song they used to like, or on their birthdays. But it's more like missing the idea of them, the daughters I thought I had. The real ones, the ones who lied to my face for months, those I don't miss at all. A few weeks ago, I ran into Ison at a sports bar. He's doing well, dating someone new. He told me Olivia contacted him recently, saying she made a huge mistake and wanted another chance. He turned her down. You taught me something important, he said. About self-respect, about not letting people treat you like you don't matter. Hearing that meant a lot. At least something good came out of this whole mess. Last week I finalized my new will with my lawyer. The bulk of my estate is going to my brother and his kids, who've been my rock through all of this. I also set up a small scholarship fund at the local community college for pre-construction management program studies. Figured I might as well help some young people who'd actually value the opportunity. Jess and I are talking about moving in together next year. We're taking it slow, but the direction feels right. She makes me laugh, calls me on my nonsense when I need it, and best of all, she doesn't have a single family member who's ever stabbed me in the back. A considerable improvement. Sometimes people ask me if I regret cutting Olivia and Zoe out of my life completely. They say things like, but they're your daughters? Or family is forever? Or some other Hallmark card garbage. My answer is always the same. Family isn't just about blood. It's about trust, respect, loyalty, things my daughters prove they don't have. Maybe someday one of them will truly realize what they did and actually own it, without excuses, without blaming others. Maybe pigs will fly too. I'm not holding my breath for either. What I've learned from all this is that you can't control what other people do, only how you respond. Melanie chose to cheat. Olivia and Zoe chose to cover it up and enable her. And I chose to walk away from all of them. The hardest part wasn't the infidelity itself, as devastating as that was. It was realizing that my own daughters, the people I would have done anything for, could betray me like that. That they could look me in the eye, lie to me day after day, help break my heart, and then blame me for not being happy about it. But here's the thing. Once you accept that the people you loved weren't who you thought they were, you can start to build a life that's real, not based on lies, not based on false obligations, but on genuine connections with people who actually care about you. So yeah, I'm better than I ever imagined I'd be. It's not the life I planned, but it's a good life, an honest life, and that's worth more than any family built on lies. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.